Hello, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to the second event in Delaware Shakespeare's mostly virtual festival. This is the Janssen's Market Picnic Contest Launch Party. And I'm here with my friend, my colleague, and new Del Shakes associate artist, Buchanan.
Yay! Hello!
How you doing, Bee? So I've got, for this virtual picnic contest launch, I have my virtual background here of Rockwood. And you have real plants there.
Oh yeah, I'm pretending I'm outside because it's so hot today that I'm not sitting outside, but I'm pretending I'm outside.
All right, well, since we can't bring you our summer festival this year at Rockwood Park, the virtual festival hopes to celebrate all those things you love about seeing Shakespeare under the stars. We'd like to thank Janssen's Market for being the lead sponsor of this mostly virtual festival, and our honorary producer, Laurel A. Regal. We also like to thank the Delaware Division of the Arts for their year-round support, and some COVID-19 emergency funding that we've received from the National Endowment for the Arts, Delaware Humanities, and Delaware Community Foundation. And just a reminder that if you are enjoying these events in our mostly virtual festival, we invite you to make a donation at delshakes.org. But tonight we are here to talk about picnics and to celebrate picnics. As you can see behind me, people love coming out and hanging out at Rockwood and having picnics. So Bea, you directed Much Ado About Nothing for Del Shakes in 2018. You spent a fair amount of time hanging outdoors at Rockwood eating. What do you love about that, the outdoor Rockwood picnicking atmosphere?
Oh my gosh, I just feel like it makes the audience a part of the entire environment of the play. So, you know, in Much Ado, I felt like the entire audience was the town that everyone was in. And, you know, as the actors or the characters flew through the aisles between everyone picnicking, it just felt like the whole world of the play was like there as we sat on the ground and picnicked. So my favorite part is just that sense of like actual like community that's built over food and the stars.
And people make some amazing picnics at Del Shakes. And that's why a few years ago, we started every year doing a Janssen's Market picnic contest. It started, we just did it like one night. We had one kind of special Janssen's Market picnic contest night, and we had people kind of compete on that night. And then we just started spreading it over the whole run of the festival. And we take pictures of our favorite picnics and post those on social media. But we can't be out there at Rockwood this year to have those lovely picnics. So we wanted to celebrate those tonight. So this year, the picnic contest is working a little differently. We are premiering this video tonight. And if you are watching and picnicking tonight, which we hope you are, we invite you to snap a picture of yourself out in your backyard, post it on Facebook, maybe in the comments under the video for this event, or just on your feed, tagging Delaware Shakespeare. Or if you watch this video any other time in the next 2 weeks, if you watch it and are so inspired, we invite you to throw yourself a Shakespeare picnic, take a picture, again, post it or send it to us at info@delshakes.org. Maybe it's inspired by something you see in the video tonight. Maybe you have your own inspiration. Maybe it's a video of you reading some Shakespeare to your beloved while enjoying an outdoor picnic. Any of those things, send them to us by August 2nd. We're going to choose our favorite picnic, and we're going to crown you the Janssen's Market Picnic Contest Champion. You'll get a gift card to Janssen's Market and some comp tickets, hopefully for 2021 for Delaware Shakespeare. So that's what tonight's all about. So we have 6 videos that lovely Del Shakes actors have recorded that take us through the picnicking process. So we have videos about being outdoors, and then we have monologues that vaguely connect to appetizers, the main course, dessert, drinking, all that kind of stuff. So we're gonna start with being outdoors. And we've got a monologue from As You Like It, which you also are in for Del Shakes.
Yeah, that was such a great time. And I think this is when we find the Duke out in the woods, right? With his band of foresters.
Yeah, so Duke Sr. has been banished by his brother to the forest of Arden. And this monologue, his foresters are starting to feel like everything's not so hot out in the woods. And this is Duke Sr. Extolling the virtues of being outdoors. So, maybe if you like being outdoors for Del Shakes but don't like the mosquitoes, there's maybe a little something that you can connect to in this. Right? So all the actors you're going to see tonight, except for one, were all actors who are going to be in The Tempest for us this summer. And we're going to start off here with Bob Weick delivering this monologue from As You Like It.
Come on. Come on. Now, my co-mates and brothers in exile, hath not old custom made this life more sweet than that of painted pomp? Now, are not these woods more free from peril than the envious court? Here feel we but the penalty of Adam, the season's difference, as the icy fang and churlish chiding of the winter's wind, which, when it bites and blows upon my body, even till I shrink with cold, I smile and say, this is no flattery. These are counselors that feelingly persuade me what I am. Sweet are the uses of adversity, which like the toad, ugly and venomous, wears yet a jewel in its head. And this, our life exempt from public haunt, finds tongues in trees, books in the running brooks, sermons in stones, and good in everything. I would not change it.
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Yes, Bob. I'm so moved.
Bob set the bar pretty high. I'll say none of our other actors did site-specific locations for their videos.
You know what I loved with that? He allowed us to go through that journey and that afternoon with him.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt like I was stepping into the woods and enjoying the creek with him. That was gorgeous.
And for you, does food taste better outdoors?
It does if you are one with nature, the way Bob just presented to us, right?
Right.
Like, and I think that was like the beauty of that monologue. I think I heard it anew.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think I ever walked through the woods like with these words, and so that was just such a partnership between the character and the woods. And when he said that the tongues were in the trees, like I felt like the forest come to life around him. That was gorgeous.
I'll admit there are certain foods that taste better to me outdoors, like grotto pizza, which you probably don't even have in Philadelphia, but grotto pizza is huge in Delaware. I only eat grotto's pizza at the beach because it tastes so good on the beach. When I have it in a regular pizza shop, it's just like, but on the beach, outdoors, it's amazing.
Yeah. Ooh, grottos, you said?
Grotto's
I want
pizza.
grotto's pizza.
Yeah.
Can we get it in Wilmington or do we have to go to the beach?
Oh no, you haven't get it in Wilmington.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next time I traverse into Wilmington. I'm in Philadelphia, by the way, but I love Del Shakes and I'm always out of Wilmington. I am totally gonna hit up Grotto's Pizza.
Cool. All right, so picnicking start, of course, with being outdoors. You have to be outdoors to have a picnic. And then we have appetizers, right? Appetizers. So what is your favorite picnic appetizer?
Funny that you mentioned that
Uh-oh,
because
do you have a prop?
I've got my little like picnic smorgasbord here, and it's got like watermelon and some like cheese and pickles and some nuts. But this is a very non-traditional
Mhm.
picnic appetizer. I fried up some dumplings, which people don't
Fancy.
think of as like a picnic food, but you know, it's like great finger food. I love it.
So I'm a grape and cheese guy for my
Mm,
appetizer. Um, or deviled eggs, but I didn't have time to prepare deviled eggs for today. Um,
I love deviled eggs too.
but grapes and cheese is for me.
Hmm.
So, all right. So the appetizer monologue we have as I eat, pardon me eating, but it's a picnic contest lunch party, so that's what we're supposed to do. Um, the appetizer monologue is Orsino from Twelfth Night. It's the first monologue. It starts the play, so it's kind of the appetizer for the whole play. And much like an appetizer, it's not enough, right? We have to have more of this play. And Orsino kind of starts talking about food, but then he moves on to other things with that. So we've got Newton Buchanan giving us Orsino's opening monologue from Twelfth Night. So here we go.
If music be the food of love, play on, give me excess of it, that, surfeiting the appetite, may sicken and so die. Oh, that strain again, it had a dying fall. Oh, it came on my ear like the sweet south that breathes upon a bank of violets, stealing and giving odor. Uh, enough, no more. 'Tis not so sweet now as it was before. Oh, spirit of love, how quick and fresh art thou, that notwithstanding thy capacity receiveth as the sea not enters there, of what validity and pitch so o'er, but falls into abatement and low price, even in a minute. So full of shapes is fancy, that it alone is high fantastical. Mm.
Wow. Yeah, you know, I love how that monologue, it really is the appetizer for the entire play. Because here's someone who's so hungry for love and has such an appetite for love and romance, right? And we start to realize as the play goes on that each of those characters is seeking someone or seeking a connection with someone, whether it's a sibling lost or connecting to someone that they didn't realize they were in love
Right.
with, and then so it's such a good appetizer, and what a link too between food and music and nature as well.
Yeah, I mean, having a boombox and some music certainly makes a picnic a little better as well.
Oh yeah, where's the boombox, David? Where's
I
the
don't. I didn't. That's the one thing I didn't prepare today was music with that. I will say so. Liz Filios, Robbie Hager, and Tanakil Marquez are writing a musical adaptation of Twelfth Night for Delaware Shakespeare, and I'll say that right now that piece has been turned into Orsino trying to compose a song on his guitar very badly with that. Um, so Newton was in Merry Wives of Windsor for us last summer at Rockwood Park. And Newton was infamous for when he would make his entrances looking to see what food he could pick up from audience. um, and that's certainly so much of the fun about being outdoors as well, is audience members sharing their food with our actors. An actor, if you're ever picnicking at Del Shakes, an actor will very rarely turn down food if you would like to make an offer of food to our actors. We also, when we have rehearsals sometimes outdoors at Rockwood on the weekends, and we always invite audience members to come out and bring us some water ice for those rehearsals. So, do you know how many culinary references there are in Shakespeare's works?
Oh my goodness. I mean, I would guess somewhere in the thousands at this
You are
point.
correct, according to an article from National Geographic. Say over 2,000 culinary references in Shakespeare. The man loved his food.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like whether he was talking about love or war, he talked about great appetites and like food is always such, it's something that's like so connected to like our dopamine receptors or whatever. You know, it's like whatever passionate feelings we're feeling, it's so easy to link it to food. So he was onto something.
Just the word feast alone, he uses over 100 times in his writing. With that. So, main course.
Mm.
What would say would be your favorite main course for a picnic?
Main course. I don't have one here, but I would say if I were to pack a proper picnic, I'd want like a really nice sandwich as my main course.
That you make yourself. So, what would be a really nice sandwich?
It would be on French bread.
Right.
It would probably have some really good cheese, like some sort of aged, like stinky cheese on it. Probably like a cured meat, and a bunch of pickles and mustard.
So that sounds very fancy.
It's like pretend fancy.
Yeah. So I don't have time to actually picnic during the festival at
I
Delaware.
know.
So for me, the go-to picnic is Wawa.
Yeah. I like Wawa.
So I know tonight it's well, the whole thing is sponsored by Janssen's Market, but we love our Wawa as well, and they're closer to Rockwood Park. I can get to a Wawa in about 5 minutes. So I have today my my chicken Caesar wrap, which frequently I will be snacking at Rockwood.
Ooh, that looks good.
All right, so
A lot of our actors love Wawa, by the way.
No, yeah. They're very good at being able to get to Wawa on a 20-minute lunch break.
Yeah.
So the main course monologue we have is an interesting one. It's from Antony and Cleopatra. Is that a I don't know that Shakespeare play very well. Is that one that you have much experience with?
I don't, but you know, I went and read this monologue and then started reading through from there. I think it might be an amazing park piece at some point.
You definitely
The visuals are sumptuous, and there's something about this epic love story that spans from like Rome to like the top of Africa. You know, like I think it's like there's something gorgeous about it that I really would love to explore outdoors.
Yeah, it's definitely. It's probably Shakespeare's one of his most cinematic pieces. I mean, it is just everywhere, right? Even more than like his history plays. I mean, you're right. We go to Egypt, we go to Africa. Egypt and Africa are in. That's the same thing. But we go all over the place in this play. I think the only one maybe switches scenes as much as Pericles, which you did for us in our community tour.
Oh my gosh. I still think about Pericles and the community tour, and like that was such a fun, moving piece, you know, like it had everything in it. Comedy, it had drama, it had so many elements of what makes a great story.
So,
But Antony and Cleopatra, I'm like, look at it deeper, because I'm like, that could be a very fun, epic park piece. And the audience might like have a little traveling session through the park, you know?
yeah, so you use the word sumptuous, which
Sumptuous.
very definitely describes this monologue we're listening to tonight. So this is the character of Enobarbus, which is just a fun name to say, right?
Enobarbus.
And what Enobarbus is describing here is an opulent date night for Antony and Cleopatra. I think it may actually be the first time they meet.
It's the first time I think Antony sees Cleopatra.
And Del Shakes is a great date night. I mean, it's a cheap date night, right? You can impress your date by saying, "Hey, want to come see some Shakespeare?" And you don't have to spend that much because $22 we're the lowest professional theater ticket price in Delaware. So, and you don't have to go out for dinner. You can bring your own picnic. So it's a nice, cheap, romantic date, which does not describe this date night between Antony and Cleopatra. So this is probably the most opulent kind of first date And then it ends with this description of this wonderful outdoor feast. So reading this for us today will be Rachel O'Hanlon Rodriguez. So she's going to bring us Enobarbus from Antony and Cleopatra.
We did sleep day out of countenance and made the night light with drinking. 8 wild boars roasted whole at a breakfast, and but 12 persons there. We had much more monstrous matter of a feast which worthily deserve noting. When she first met Mark Antony, she pursed up his heart upon the river of Cydnus. The barge she sat in, like a burnished throne, burned on the water. The poop was beaten gold, purple the sails, and so perfumed that the winds were lovesick with them. The oars were silver, which to the tune of flutes kept stroke, and made the water which they beat to follow faster, as amorous of their strokes. For her own person, it beggared all description. She did lie in her pavilion, cloth of gold, of tissue, or picturing that Venus where we see the fancy outwork of nature. On each side her stood pretty, dimpled boys, like smiling cupids, with divers colored fans, whose winds did seem to glow the delicate cheeks, which with they did cool, and what they undid, did. From the barge, a strange, invisible perfume hits the sense of the adjacent wharfs. Upon her landing, Antony sent to her, invited her to supper. She replied, it should be better he became her guest, which she entreated. Our courteous Antony, whom ne'er the word of no women heard speak, being barbered 10 times o'er, goes to the feast, and for his ordinary pays his heart for what his eyes eat only.
Oh my gosh, I love that monologue.
Great monologue.
It's so descriptive, and like just the language, I got the entire visual and the action so clearly. And Rachel was so good at like closing that space between us. Like it just felt like she was gossiping about these celebrities that we always hear about and we don't know.
And that's the thing, we talk about Antony and Cleopatra is so cinematic. And, the only time I saw it was about a year or so ago at the Royal National Theatre in London. And they must have spent like 50 million on that. It was just like, it was like a movie, the whole thing. But that's not how it would have been done in Shakespeare's day. We wouldn't have had any of those locations. It all would have been in the language. And you're right, Rachel did such a great job there of just painting the picture of that for us. And you get to say poop.
I know. I was like, oh, poop.
Which is not what you think it is, right? But
Let's build this barge and then
anytime you get
show
to
everyone what the poop is.
Well, we could do it at Del Shakes, but yeah, it would be much like Henry V, where it says, your imagination has to create this for us with that. All right, well, little commercial break here. If you've just stumbled on this and don't know what you're watching, this is Delaware Shakespeare's mostly virtual festival. Since we can't be with you in person this summer at Rockwood Park, we are filling our digital airwaves with 3 weekends of digital content, and this is the Janssen's Market Picnic Contest virtual launch party. We're hoping some of you are watching this right now and picnicking. If you are, again, we invite you to take pictures of that, post it on our Facebook page. And then we're going to pick our favorite picnic that we hear about by August 2nd. And someone's going to be the Janssen's Market Picnic Contest champion. We hope
Yes.
you out there. All right. So we're going to take a little bit of a, not really a diversion, but we're going to kind of break up our courses here. So we've had Being Outdoors with As You Like It. We had the appetizer, which was 12th Night, and we just had the main course, which is Enobarbus from Antony and Cleopatra. But Delaware Shakespeare right now is in the middle of the Sonnet project. We started in the middle of March when we initially had to start social distancing, saying, well, let's just have some actors record some sonnets. We probably only have to do this like 3 or 4 weeks, right?
Whoops.
There are 154 sonnets in Shakespeare. We were recording one each weekday, and we're like, hey, we'll probably only need to get through like 30 or 40. Unfortunately, we are now in the 90s, or actually late 80s. But they're really fun to watch. You can go back and watch it on our Facebook page, on YouTube, on Instagram. And there's one sonnet that's just kind of all about food. So I thought we'd share it here. And B, you've done 2, maybe three sonnets for us. So this is Tai Verley. And she gives an introduction that's all about food, and then reads Sonnet 75.
Hi, Del Shakes fam. Tai Verley here, coming at you with Sonnet 75. Okay, here we go. So, what I love about this sonnet is actually the first line. I'm just going to give it to you right out of the gate. So are you to my thoughts as food to life. And that right there is amazing, to imagine that you, the thought of you, is as satisfying to me as a good meal. Good cooking goes a long way. But I digress. And so does this sonnet. The speaker starts talking about a miser, a person who hoards money, and that possession, that pursuit of delight and holding on to it tightly starts taking over this entire sonnet. You get the feeling that the speaker really actually doesn't like this food or this taste, and that it's eating, it's literally, to go with the metaphor, eating away at them. But enough of my blabbering. Here's Sonnet 75. So are you to my thoughts as food to life, or sweet season showers are to the ground, and for the peace of you I hold such strife as twixt a miser and his wealth is found. Now proud as an enjoyer, and anon doubting the filching age will steal his treasure, now counting best to be with you alone, then better that the world may see my pleasure, sometime all full with feasting on your sight, and by clean, starved for a look, possessing or pursuing no delight save what is had or must from you be took. Thus do I pine and surfeit day by day, or gluttoning on all, or all away.
Wow. I love that. Starving for your look. Like, just the idea of feasting on the attention that someone else could give you. It's so, it's so awesome. Oh my goodness.
Now, Tai loves to cook, as do you, Miss B.
Yes. I almost feel like we should have a Del Shakes cooking club at some point.
And I know you've been doing a lot of quarantine cooking. Has there been any creation you have been proudest of during your quarantine cooking?
Yeah. I mean, you know what? This isn't cooking, but I started bottling my own kombucha. So I learned how to ferment tea with one of those giant scobies. It's like a bacteria, like weird looking alien disc. And so that I've been very proud of, because it's hard to get the proportions and the taste right. But I'm cooking all the time. It's like how I feel creative now.
Well, that was a very unplanned and lovely segue to the next stage of our process here, which is drink.
Yes.
Although I do want to do one more commercial and say, if you are enjoying this this program and the virtual festival as a whole, we do encourage you to consider making a donation at delshakes.org. So drinking. People enjoy their beverages outdoors at Rockwood Park. We have, what are you drinking there, Miss B?
This is the ginger, it's a ginger watermelon kombucha I made.
Very nice.
So eventually, you know, at these picnics in Rockwood, I'm going to be bringing along my bottles of homemade fermented kombucha. And if anyone's sitting near me and wants to try it, I will share all my kombucha with you.
So we started a partnership last year with Wilmington Brew Works, and they were selling their beers at Rockwood. For the last several years, Swig Wine has had a wine stand. And if you do enjoy your wine and your cheese, invite you to buy a ticket for next week's wine and cheese party, where we'll have wine tasting. You can get some wines from Swig and some cheese from Janssen's Market, and join us for another program like this. Although that is a ticketed event, so you have to buy a ticket for that Zoom, but you can join us for another fun food inspired Del Shakes event. So yeah, my go-to picnic beverage is a Nantucket Nectar, red plum.
Get all your vitamins in.
Yes. With the virtual background, it disappears.
Whoa, magic!
All right, so who loves to drink the most in all of Shakespeare, B?
Does his name begin with an F?
It does begin with an F. Yes.
Does it also end with an F?
It ends with two Fs. Falstaff is the correct answer for all of you playing at home, right? Who appeared last year in The Merry Wives of Windsor, but the true Falstaff genius is in the Henry IV plays, Henry IV Part 1 and Part 2. And we're going to share now with you a monologue that's just Falstaff waxing incredibly poetic about the beverage of sack. Now I don't know I'm not a drinker, so I had to look up what sack is. So this is from the description on the Gold Medal Wine Club. So what sack is. Sack is the name for a fortified wine imported from Spain or the Canary Islands. It was much in vogue in England in the 16th and 17th centuries. The name's derivation is disputed. It may be from sec, a French word for dry. Another theory is that it was derived from the Spanish word scar, meaning to take or to get, referring to wine exports. Often the place of production was put before the noun, as in Canary sack, or Malaga sack, or Sherry's sack. From the end of the 17th century onwards, sherry began to replace sack as the generic term.
Well, let's make sack in vogue again.
Yes.
That's what I say.
So delivering this salute to sack will be Doug Durlacher. And this is Falstaff, Henry VI, Part 2, talking all about how much he loves sack.
Good faith, this same young sober-blooded boy doth not love me, nor a man cannot make him laugh. But that's no marvel, he drinks no wine. A good sherry's sack hath a twofold operation in it. It ascends me into the brain, dries me there all the foolish and dull and cruddy vapors which environ it, makes it apprehensive, quick, full of nimble, fiery and delectable shapes, which, delivered o'er to the voice, the tongue, which is the birth, becomes excellent wit. The second property of your excellent sherries is the warming of the blood. The sherries warms it and makes it course from the inwards to the parts extreme. It illuminateth the face, which, as a beacon, gives warning to all the rest of this little kingdom man to arm. And then the vital commoners and inland petty spirits muster me all to their captain, the heart, who, great and puffed up with his retinue, doth any deed of courage. And this valor comes of sherries. Hereof comes it that Prince Harry is valiant, for the cold blood he did naturally inherit of his father, he hath, like lean, sterile, and bare land, manured, husbanded, and tilled with excellent endeavor of drinking good and good store of fertile sherries, that he is become very hot and valiant. If I had 1,000 sons, the first humane principle I would teach them should be to forswear thin potations and to addict themselves to sack.
Oh my gosh, it is so enjoyable to hear this language today, and also like to hear how Shakespeare just moves through the different sensations of the body using like one idea, right? Like how sherry, how the sac is like moving through the system and how it affects us. It's so cool.
That was much more highbrow than my reaction.
What was your reaction?
Was, hey, we've heard poop and manured today.
And the way he said manured,
Yeah.
manured. I loved it.
Which, again, when you're picnicking, you have to be on the lookout for manure, because that can ruin a picnic.
Although Rockwood stays really clean.
Yes, it does.
I feel like it's such a beautiful park, and like I wasn't bitten by mosquitoes the entire time I was in Rockwood, and I didn't step in any, manure.
All right, so that was drink, which brings us to the conclusion. What is do you have a favorite course of a meal?
I do. I have one right here.
What is your favorite course?
This is dessert. And this is actually, this is like a custard peanut butter pie that a friend made, and it is so yummy. It's like, I've been waiting to eat this.
Again, much fancier than me. So dessert is my favorite course of dessert of meal as well, and I'm just a chocolate fan. So I just have some Hershey's here, which again you have to be careful with the picnic because it can melt and go away.
The trick is you stick the chocolate in the refrigerator before you go to the picnic, and then you put it in one of those like insulated lunch coolers.
So I love Shakespeare. I love dessert. I have a problem with Shakespeare now because he doesn't write much about dessert. There's some the word dessert is not even in Shakespeare. So
Maybe because none of the characters get to eat their dessert. Especially in the tragedies. They just never get there.
now it's interesting, the word desert is in several times, and that sometimes it's just desert. But sometimes I use it as dessert, like as someone who's deserving of something. Which again is what dessert is. You deserve your dessert when you get to the end of your meal. There are some great like one-liners about sweets, like sweets to the sweet, from Hamlet. Or in Twelfth Night we hear, "There shall be no more cakes and ales." But I had to do some research here to find his dessert quote, and I found out. Do you know what the word banquet means in Elizabethan England? What banquet referred to? We think of banquet as just like this whole like a fancy big old meal.
Well, from this line of thinking, does banquet mean dessert?
Very good deductive reasoning. So, according to an NPR article, in Shakespeare's day, a banquet was not a rollicking dinner party, but dessert. Or rather specifically, an elaborate final sweet course of expensive sweets and elaborate sculptures crafted in sugar.
Huh.
The truly rich built separate banqueting houses on their manors to host their velvet-clad guests.
Wow.
The banquet was the dessert course, and it was all about just like showing how fancy you were.
So there's several banquets then in Shakespeare plays?
Mm-hmm.
One of which, isn't there a huge, I mean, is it a dessert banquet that McBee and his wife are hosting?
Yeah, that doesn't feel like necessarily a dessert part of the banquet.
I know. Like but that would be a very funny way to stage.
If they were just like drinking Coke root beer floats.
Yeah. And there's like cakes and pies and the ghost appears and it'd be a totally different scene.
So there are 2 plays in the canon that the word banquet is used the most in. It is Henry VIII and Taming of the Shrew. The VIII makes sense because Henry VIII loved life, and I guess Taming of the Shrew because that's a very domestic play. So what we've done for the dessert course monologue is to kind of mash up a couple of pieces of text from Henry VIII and Taming of the Shrew. This is delivered by Laura Kate Marshall, who is going to be playing Queen Alonza for us in The Tempest.
Yay.
Are able to use that.
Saw you not? Even now a blessed troop invite me to a banquet, whose bright faces cast 1,000 beams upon me like the sun. They promised me eternal happiness. You now have a broken banquet, but we'll mend it. A good digestion to you, and once again I shower a welcome on you. Welcome all. At last, though long our jarring notes agree, and time is, when raging war is done, to smile at scapes and perils overblown. Feast with the best, and welcome to my house. My banquet is to close our stomachs up after our great good cheer. Pray you, sit down, for now we sit to chat as well as eat.
That was awesome.
Some good lines in there.
Yeah, it just made me so aware of like a feast as an offering for friendship and an offering for community, right? There was so much language about like well wishes upon someone and wishing them to eat well and to digest well. Like, I love that.
Yeah, I love that last line. Now we sit to chat and to eat, which again is hopefully what happens when people bring their picnics out to Delaware Shakespeare. You have a lovely eating while you sit there chatting to your friends, and then you feast on these words of Shakespeare.
Yes, yes. I wish that upon all of us, that we get to picnic and feast upon the words of Shakespeare and upon each other, right? Like upon each other's company.
Yep.
Oh.
So we have made it through our 5-course meal of Shakespeare, of picnicking. So we had being outdoors, we had appetizer, we had food, we had wine, we had dessert, and we had a little sonnet thrown in there for fun as well, right? So again, what we hope is that you are posting your pictures of your lovely picnics. Again, even though we can't be at Rockwood, we still know that there are some amazing picnickers out there, and we'd love to see what you create. Again, maybe it's inspired by something you hear during tonight, or maybe it's just your own kind of Shakespearean inspiration. But post those pictures and or videos, tag us, tag Delaware Shakespeare, and those will need to be submitted by August 2nd, and then we'll pick our winner for the Janssen's Market Picnic Contest. Thank you so much for joining us today, Bea.
Oh, thanks for having me. This was such a nice way to spend an afternoon with you and with the Del Shakes family.
So this was the second event in our mostly virtual festival. Join us tomorrow for our first Family Sunday. Cassie Alexander will be reading a lovely children's book called Will's Quill. And then again, if you love food, get your tickets at delshakes.org for the wine and cheese party next Saturday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for your lovely picnics, and we can't wait to see all those pictures. Thanks, Bea.
Bye, thank you.